Well, here is a moral dilemma for you on this Friday morning. The unemployment rate fell to 3.7% yesterday, which is good news because it means more people have a job and the government collects more tax. The bad news is that interest rate cuts are likely further off now. So, which one are you cheering for? Let's bring in our business editor, Ross Greenwood. Ross, good morning to you. Are people cheering for a rate cut or are they cheering for someone to lose their job now? It's quite the dilemma.
See, it is a dilemma, isn't it? How good's a moral dilemma on a Friday, right, Pete? That's the idea.
Well, tackle it for us, Ross.
OK, so I'll take you through it. It is true, though, to say that the very strong jobs numbers that came out yesterday, which were a surprise, seeing the unemployment rate fall back to 3.7%, does cause, really, most economists to start to push out their suggestions of when the next rate cut will be, the first in the series. Now, the suggestion is, of course, that normal things would have been that this rate would have risen a little bit, and as a result, that would have given the argument to the Reserve Bank, well, yes, the jobless rate is rising, so that's going to take pressure off wages and inflation, so you can start to think about cutting interest rates. But as Michelle Bullock, the Governor of the Reserve Bank, said just the day before, well, we're not counting anything in or out, which suggests also that while they're not saying we are definitely going to raise rates again, they're not taking that idea off the table as well. If we look around the states, you can see it really is a situation right now where it's very, very strong. So have a look at this. South Australia, where the property market is booming right now, an unemployment rate of just 3.2%. In WA, again, similar boom time conditions, 3.6%. But right across the country right now, the employment markets are very, very strong, Pete. And that really is good news, as I say, because you'd prefer to have more people in jobs, therefore paying tax, therefore making the economy stronger.
Yeah, and South Australia is going to be helped by that announcement in Osborne this morning too. But if you think about it, Ross, these jobs come as our migration is now rising at the fastest pace ever. We saw those figures yesterday. So can our jobs market keep absorbing all of these new folks?
Well, see, that's the issue also, because Australia's population is growing at a record pace right now. It certainly was late last year. And yet, despite the fact all those people either found jobs or were at school or whatever it might have been, there's our population as of September, 26.28 million people. The growth rate, the annual growth rate through until the end of September, 2.5%, which is the fastest rate of population growth since 1952. That's the annual growth. If we show you one step further on this as well, have a look. The natural increase, births versus deaths, was 111,000. Overseas migrants, 548,000. Guess what? When migrants arrive in Australia, they spend, they find jobs, they create businesses, and that partly is one of the reasons why Australia's economy is not in recession right now like it is in New Zealand across the ditch.
Okay, one of the big international business stories this morning, Ross, is Apple, which has been sued by the US Department of Justice, and 17 stated for blocking competition, thus forcing prices even higher. So pretty serious allegation out there this morning.
Some of the most serious allegations against Apple. This is about, obviously, the App Store and who's allowed on that App Store and therefore the price that is paid by consumers. So this is not just being taken by those 17 states, plus also the federal government. But on top of that, it's not about just consumers. It's also about developers, because some developers are blocked out. Let's hear from the US Attorney General in announcing this action.
Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. We allege that Apple has employed a strategy that relies on exclusionary, anti-competitive conduct that hurts both consumers and developers. For consumers, that has meant fewer choices, higher prices and fees, lower quality smartphones, apps, and accessories, and less innovation from Apple and its competitors.
And Pete, Apple shares down a touch just after that action was announced as well.
Okay, just finally, Reddit, Ross, on the US markets.
It is, for the very first time. Let's have a little look as it announced its inclusion onto the stock market in the US overnight.
Yeah.
That's how they do it, right, Pete?
Got a Guernsey. Love to see it.
There you go. So Reddit, of course, well known, the bulletin board site, which was famous also for basically having a lot of stock tips and all that sort of stuff. We remember the whole thing about AMC, range of others that they supported. Well, the stock price went nuts overnight. It basically came on at $34. A recent price was $54.10. It might have gone a bit higher since then, up by 51%. That's another one that we should have had. And some of the biggest users of that Reddit site also cop shares in that float as well.
One day I'm going to ride one of those waves, Ross.
I know, you and me together.
See you soon.